Question on Christmas eating. Let's get this on. Love your Instagram, man. Any tips for staying in a calorie deficit over the Christmas period, or would you suggest embracing Christmas? So this is a common question, and a lot of people would traditionally say it's a holiday period, go and do whatever the fuck you want and actually go and have fun. And I totally understand this. However, I also understand that a lot of people don't share the same view as me, and they do go into Christmas feeling anxious about gaining weight. So I don't think it's really my place to tell you what you should do. But if you are someone who's worried about how much you eat over Christmas and you do want some tips, this video is for you. So let's kick things off. When you gain weight, how much of that is actually body fat? So if we look at one of the shorter term overfeeding trials, subjects were overfed by 60% of their caloric needs for 9 consecutive days, which is the equivalent of you overeating from Christmas Eve right up until New Year's Day. Subjects gained 3.2 kilograms body weight by the end, but only 56% of this, or 1.8 kilograms, was actually fat mass. So just because you gain some weight over Christmas doesn't mean that it's pure fat tissue. And there's also a strong likelihood that when you resume your regular eating after the Christmas period, a lot of this weight will just drop off naturally. But if you don't want to go into the Christmas period with this mentality and you do want to be more strict about what you eat, here are a couple of different ways you can approach it. So the obvious one is implementing portion control at every meal. So for example, if you want mince pies, have mince pies, but eat 1 or 2, not necessarily the whole box. Now, alternatively, if you want to eat bigger meals, you can implement something called time-restricted feeding. Now, normally time-restricted feeding is shortening your eating window, which normally has the byproduct of people consuming less calories within that window. However, the flip side to this is it also means you can eat bigger meals within that window. So for example, if you normally eat 3 meals per day, which are 1,000 calories each, you could potentially skip 1 meal and have 2 1,500 calorie meals, or skip 2 meals and have 1 3,000 calorie meal. Alternatively, you can implement time-restricted feeding on a weekly basis, such as alternate day fasting or the 5-2 method. This means that you have some fasting days during the week where you eat little to no food, but allow yourself feast days where you're allowed to eat more food. So practically, what this means is if you want to eat a bigger meal on Christmas Day, for example, you could potentially skip breakfast and have a bigger lunch. Or you can implement it on a weekly basis where you have, for example, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day as higher calorie days, then have a few lower calorie days before New Year's Eve and New Year's Day being higher calorie days again. And to reiterate, at the moment, the majority of the research on time-restricted feeding shows that it is at least as good as traditional caloric restriction, but not necessarily superior to. So I would just view it as an alternative, viable method of you regulating your caloric intake if it suits your personal preference. So use these strategies if and as you wish, but most importantly, have a good Christmas.